Today, we're off to Tanzania to check out a place with a seriously scary reputation, Lake Natron. It's gotten famous as this deadly lake that supposedly turns animals to stone. But, as we're about to find out, the real story is way more fascinating than the myth. So let's just start with the big one, the question that sounds like it was pulled straight out of a legend. Can a lake actually turn animals into stone? It's a wild claim, but it's the very thing that put Lake Natron on the world map. You know, this whole modern myth was really locked into our minds by a photographer named Nick Brandt. When he went there, he found something, well, something haunting. His words were, "I unexpectedly found creatures, all manner of birds and bats, washed up along the shoreline." Those words and the pictures he took, they created a story that's pretty hard to forget. So let's dive into that first, this Medusa-like myth that totally captured everyone's imagination. So in his book, Across the Ravaged Land, Brandt published these incredibly eerie images. See, he found these preserved animal bodies along the shore, and what he did was he posed them in these lifelike positions, which created this powerful illusion of statues frozen in time. Those photos went viral, and just like that, the legend of the petrifying lake was born. But what's the science behind the story? I mean, what's really going on here? Well, it's not magic, it's chemistry. And it has a lot more to do with mummification than it does with stone. The secret ingredient, if you will, is a chemical compound called natron. It's this naturally occurring mix of sodium carbonates and other salts. Now, in this really hot, dry part of the world, the lake's water evaporates like crazy, leaving behind this super high concentration of these salts. Now, if that chemical sounds kind of familiar, it should. Natron is the exact same stuff the ancient Egyptians used to dry out and preserve bodies for the afterlife. The lake is, well, it's basically a natural mummification machine. To give you some perspective on just how harsh this lake is, its pH level can get all the way up to 12. That is so incredibly alkaline, it's almost the same as household bleach. Yeah, this is not water you'd want to go for a swim in. So how does this whole process actually work? It's not instant, right? An animal dies and its body ends up in this really caustic water. The natron then acts like a super powerful sponge, just pulling out all the moisture and fat. What you're left with is a perfectly preserved carcass, mummified but definitely not turned to stone. I mean, just how potent is this water? That photographer, Nick Brandt, gave a perfect example. He said it was so caustic it would, quote, strip the ink off my Kodak film boxes within a few seconds. Wow. That really gives you a sense of its raw chemical power. Okay, so we've got this incredibly harsh, seemingly deadly environment. But here is where the story takes this amazing twist. Because for all its hostility, Lake Natron is anything but dead. I mean, think about it. Water temperatures can hit 60 degrees Celsius, that's 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and you have that extreme alkalinity we just talked about. This lake seems like it would be completely inhospitable to pretty much any living thing. Which, leads to the obvious question, is this just a completely dead lake? Not even close. It is absolutely teeming with uniquely adapted life. There are salt-loving bacteria that actually give the lake its incredible red and orange colors. There's a species of fish called alkaline tilapia that somehow thrives in the less salty parts. But the most spectacular of all, this so-called deadly lake is a sanctuary for the lesser flamingo. And this might just be the most incredible part of the whole story. This supposedly deadly lake is actually the most important flamingo nursery on the entire planet. It's just a perfect example of nature's weird ingenuity. That caustic, salty water that's so dangerous to most animals, well, it acts as the perfect defense system. It creates this natural barrier, protecting flamingo nests out on these little salt islands from any predator that would even think about trying to cross. And we're not talking about a small group of birds here. This lake is the only regular breeding ground in all of East Africa for a staggering 2.5 million lesser flamingos. But what does that really mean on a global scale? Get this, an unbelievable 75% of the entire world's lesser flamingo population is born right here. 3/4 of a whole species depends on this one unique, hostile place for its very survival. Which, of course, means this unique sanctuary is also incredibly fragile. And right now, it's a sanctuary under threat. The main threat is coming from a proposed soda ash plant. This development would pump water from the lake, which would dilute its absolutely critical salt levels. It would also bring in housing for over 1,000 workers and a coal-fired power station, which would inevitably lead to disrupting the nests and polluting the habitat. The stakes just couldn't be any higher. Chris Magin from the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds put it really bluntly. The chance of the lesser flamingos continuing to breed in the face of such mayhem are next to zero. This one development could pretty much wipe out their main breeding ground. So this all leaves us with a really critical question, one that goes way beyond this one lake in Tanzania. How do we balance the needs of human industry with the urgent need to protect Earth's strangest, most vital, and most fragile wonders?